When Brandon Kerr, the new CEO, summoned me for a brief meeting, he didn't waste words. "We're restructuring to maximize shareholder value," he said coolly. "Your position is being eliminated. Effective immediately." I'm Clayton Riek. For 14 years, I built Northrise Apparel's Eastern Division from nothing into the company's top-performing unit. Not through flashy presentations or corporate buzzwords. Through trust, consistency, and honest work. I personally handled our key accounts, knew the concerns of our clients, their families, their quirks. Relationships that brought in $4.2 million a year. Relationships built on loyalty and reliability. Not things you can capture on a PowerPoint slide. Brandon Kerr had been at Northrise for exactly 8 weeks. Harvard Business School pedigree, buzzed haircut, custom suits. He never once asked me how we grew 18% year-over-year while other divisions flatlined. Never wondered why Sun Coast Financial and Vector Properties specifically requested me on every quarterly call. He didn't care about relationships. Only margins, charts, and efficiencies. When security walked me to my office to pack up, Alicia from HR, a 15-year veteran, couldn't meet my eyes. Thomas, the CFO, passed by, hesitated, then awkwardly patted my shoulder without saying a word. Packed quietly. Family photos. The fishing trophy from Vector's retreat. The handwritten thank you note from Diane at Sun Coast. 14 years of a career, reduced to a single cardboard box. I walked to my car without a scene. No shouting. No threats. As I pulled away, the glass tower shrank in my rearview mirror. For the first time in 14 years, I wasn't carrying the weight of 30 employees and millions in contracts. It should have felt freeing. Instead, it felt wrong. When I started at Northrise, we operated out of a dingy warehouse in Charlotte. The Eastern Division was hemorrhaging money when they hired me. I was given 9 employees and a blunt ultimatum. Fix it or we shut it down. I spent those first years driving to every potential client within 100 miles, listening to complaints about late deliveries, poor quality, inconsistent sizing. And I solved those problems. We grew. First to 15, then 25 people. We moved into better offices. I promoted talent when I saw it. Janice from customer service, Keith fresh out of design school. I invested in people, not just processes. When I joined Northrise, my son Dylan was 12 years old. Now he's 26. An architect in Seattle. My wife Jennifer supported every late night, every emergency trip. "It's building something that will last," I used to tell her. She believed me. 3 CEOs came and went during my tenure. All of them valued what we'd built. Under our leadership, Northrise grew from a regional player to a national competitor. Our division led the way in growth and retention, year after year. But everything changed with the Kestrel Group merger last year. I wasn't worried at first. Numbers don't lie. But cracks started to appear when Brandon Kerr arrived with his army of efficiency experts. They obsessed over acquisition costs, margins, automation. But they never once mentioned client loyalty, relationship history, or trust, the true foundation of our success. 2 weeks before my termination, Brandon requested a report on all our major accounts. I gave him the numbers, contract values, renewal dates, projected growth. But there's no spreadsheet cell for the fact that I attended the funeral of Sun Coast's procurement director's father. No formula to capture inspecting Vector's first major order at 2 a.m. to ensure perfection. When Brandon's assistant scheduled our meeting for only 10 minutes, I knew. The next morning, sitting in my home office, I stared at my silent phone. No messages. Jennifer brought me coffee, squeezed my shoulder. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "They don't understand what they've done," I said. I wasn't angry. Strangely, I felt clear-headed for the first time in years. I opened my laptop and scrolled through my personal contacts. 14 years of real relationships. Names, numbers, personal emails. Not Northrise's database. At 9:30 a.m., the first call came. It was Diane from Sun Coast Financial. "Clayton, we just got a mass email about changes at Northrise. Please tell me you're not affected." I was let go yesterday, I said quietly. Silence. Then the sound of her tapping a pen against her desk, a habit of hers when thinking hard. Our contract renewal is in 6 weeks, she said. The board only stayed with Northrise last time because of you. The pricing was higher than competitors, but you always delivered. Can I call you back on this number? She asked. Of course. That afternoon, Harold from Vector called. Then Michael from Eastern Bank. Then Stephanie from Bright Healthcare Systems. Same reactions. Shock, concern, uncertainty about their contracts. I didn't badmouth Northrise. I answered honestly. Yes, I was terminated. No, I wasn't involved in the transition planning. Yes, I was considering my options. By evening I had 5 missed calls from Brandon Kerr. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened my laptop again, but this time to build a different kind of spreadsheet. Companies that had tried to recruit me. Competitors who valued relationships. The idea of starting my own consulting firm. For 14 years, I built bridges for Northrise. Now it was time to build new ones. For myself. 3 days later, Brandon's messages turned desperate. Suncoast and Vector Properties had sent formal letters. They wouldn't be renewing their contracts. The reason? Loss of key personnel and leadership instability. In other words, me. Brandon called again. Offering a new position, Senior VP, better pay. Politely declined. The sudden change reeked of desperation, not respect. Meanwhile, Daniel Thompson, CEO of Summit Ridge Outfitters, a smaller competitor, reached out. He offered me Senior VP, an equity stake, and full control over my client relationships. I'll think about it, I said. But deep down I already knew. Then things got uglier. An email from Northrise's legal department accused me of violating non-solicitation clauses. Threats of litigation if I interfered with their business. I sent the letter to my lawyer friend, Paul Henderson. His response. They're bluffing. You never signed a non-solicitation agreement. Your non-compete only bars you from joining a competitor for 6 months, not from clients choosing to follow you. I smiled for the first time in days. Then Janice, still inside Northrise, sent me something explosive. A confidential internal presentation. The restructuring plan had always called for eliminating my role, no matter my performance. It outlined replacing experienced staff with cheaper new hires and raising client prices by 15% once their contracts renewed. A note on slide 12 read, relationship-dependent business model presents significant risk. Transition to system-dependent model to maximize margins. They didn't fire me because I failed. They fired me because I succeeded in ways they didn't understand, ways that didn't fit their spreadsheets. Even worse, the plan marked Keith, Janice, and 3 others from my division for termination once I was out of the way. They were going to dismantle everything we'd built, and blame the fallout on me. That night, I called Daniel at Summit Ridge. I'm in, I said. On one condition, I'm bringing 5 people with me. Done, he said without hesitation. When can you start? 2 weeks. I'll need offer letters today. That evening I called my team, Keith, Janice, and the others. I told them the truth. They all said yes without hesitation. That night, I slept better than I had in months. I never returned Brandon's calls. Instead, I met with my old clients, not to poach them, just to listen, to be there as a friend. And without pressure, without contracts, they made their decisions. Not because I asked them. Because they trusted me. Because relationships, not spreadsheets, are what real business is built on. I glanced at my phone and saw a new text from Jerry Campbell. Northrise's remaining divisions just got acquired by Gravora Group. Clean sweep. Nothing left of the original company. I stared at the screen for a moment, letting the words sink in. Then I set the phone down quietly and stepped out onto the deck. The spring air was warm, rich with the scent of new blossoms and the subtle promise of change. I leaned against the railing, looking out at the early evening light stretching across the trees, and allowed myself a long, steady breath. My thoughts drifted to Brandon, once so sure of his vision, so dismissive of anything that didn't fit neatly into his quarterly goals. I wondered briefly what he was doing now. Part of me hoped he had learned something from all of this, though if I was honest, I doubted it. Some lessons you can only learn when you're willing to listen. I thought about all the years I had given to Northrise, the bridges I had worked so hard to build between departments, with clients, with teams scattered across the country. Bridges they never seemed to value until it was too late. I remembered the late nights spent over reports, the family dinners missed, the vacations postponed indefinitely. Those sacrifices had been real. They had cost me moments I could never get back. But as I stood there, feeling the evening settle around me, I realized something even more real had come out of it. The relationships. The people I had worked alongside, mentored, laughed with, fought for. They hadn't followed me because I'd asked them to. They'd followed because we had built something authentic together. Something no corporate restructuring, no acquisition, no spreadsheet could ever quantify. That kind of loyalty couldn't be bought or sold. It could only be earned. The next morning, I arrived at Summit Ridge earlier than usual. The office was quiet, bathed in the soft light of a new day. I pulled up our quarterly projections, now showing we were tracking 30% above our target. I checked the client retention numbers. 97%, the highest in the company's history. I allowed myself a small, quiet smile. A knock at my door pulled me from the screen. It was Daniel, leaning casually against the frame, a rare grin on his face. "Board approved your proposal," he said. "Employee ownership program starts next quarter. Keith and Janice are going to head up the implementation team." I nodded, feeling the weight and meaning of the moment. "They'll do it right," I said. Daniel chuckled. "You know," he added, "when all this started, I thought we were just getting a talented executive and a few lucrative client relationships. I didn't realize we were getting a completely different way of doing business. Relationships over transactions," I replied. "Always." After he left, I opened the bottom drawer of my desk, the one where I kept a few old keepsakes. I pulled out a small fishing trophy, the one Vector Properties had given me years ago at a corporate retreat. Back then, it had seemed like a token of recognition. Now, it felt more like a relic of another life. I placed it carefully on the shelf, right next to new photographs. Candid shots of my team at Summit Ridge. Laughing, collaborating, building something real. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need public vindication. I just needed to build something that would last. And this time I had.